Get it. 17.
They outnumber me, son.
Get it. 18.
They outnumber me, son.
Get it.
They
19.
outnumber me, son.
Yeah. 20. You got
They
some more in
outnumber me,
you.
son.
21. Yeah. Get it again. Come on. We want to see it. Good. 22.
Who's gonna carry the boats and the logs?
That's you, buddy. Come on. 23. Come on. 24. One more, Dave.
David Goggins' childhood was defined by severe domestic abuse from his father, racial discrimination in a small town, and chronic stress that caused a severe stutter and deep mental blocks. By the age of 24, he had turned into a broken man. His weight reached 135 kilograms, and his only source of income was working as a nighttime pest control technician. Every night he sprayed chemicals in the basements of dirty restaurants for minimum wage, and on his way home he would buy a box of 24 chocolate donuts and drink a liter of milk. David hated his reflection in the mirror and drowned his panic attacks in junk food. Everything changed when he randomly turned on the television and stumbled across a documentary about the selection process for the elite United States Navy SEALs. On the screen, exhausted men in wetsuits conquered the freezing ocean waves. At that exact moment, Goggins realized that if he did not find a way to test his limits right now, he would remain a mental hostage of his own weakness until the end of his days. He began calling military recruiting offices. Most recruiters simply hung up the phone upon hearing his weight and his stutter. Only one officer agreed to meet, but he issued an ultimatum. David had to weigh under 86 kilograms to pass the medical criteria. To drop 49 kilograms, he had exactly 3 months left. Goggins designed an extreme routine that sat on the very edge of biological survival. He woke up at 4:30 a.m. and immediately got on a stationary bike for 2 hours. Then he drove to a local pool where he swam without stopping for another 2 hours, fighting through intense muscle cramps. After that came a grueling weightlifting session in the gym, consisting of hundreds of repetitions with light weights, followed by an evening run. His nutrition was limited to an absolute minimum: 1 cup of oatmeal made with water in the morning and a small portion of boiled chicken breast with broccoli in the evening. His body was constantly in a state of profound energy deficit. Due to the colossal physical loads, his joints swelled terribly, and the skin under his armpits and on his thighs rubbed raw into bloody wounds. Every single movement caused acute pain, but Goggins purposefully ignored his brain's signals for help. 2 weeks before the deadline, his weight plateaued, so David added running in a thick winter jacket under the scorching sun to his training. At the final weigh-in, the scale showed 85.7 kilograms. He had achieved the impossible and secured his pass to the Special Forces training camp. Entering the Buds training camp marked the beginning of a completely new trial. The famous Hell Week consists of the first 6 days of selection, during which candidates sleep for a total of only 2 hours, stay constantly submerged in freezing water, run hundreds of kilometers with heavy logs on their shoulders, and endure colossal psychological pressure. Most candidates break down and ring the bell to signal their quit within the first 48 hours. Goggins endured this hell 3 separate times. During his first attempt, he was medically pulled due to severe double pneumonia when his lungs filled with fluid. On his second attempt, reaching the halfway mark of the trials, he suffered multiple stress fractures in both shins from the extreme running on soft, unstable beach sand. His bones were literally crumbling from the constant impacts. When David returned to selection for the 3rd time, military doctors warned him that another serious injury would leave him permanently disabled. On the 3rd night of Hell Week, his broken shins flared up again. Every step echoed with a flash of white-hot pain in his head. To prevent the instructors from noticing his limp and dropping him on medical grounds, Goggins woke up an hour before the morning call, took heavy-duty duct tape, and tightly wrapped his legs from his ankles to his knees, creating a rigid external brace. He ran multi-kilometer rucks on cracked bones that were held together solely by the adhesive tape. He survived and officially became a Navy SEAL. In 2005, following the tragic death of his brothers-in-arms in Afghanistan, Goggins decided to draw attention to a charity fund and enter the elite Badwater 135 ultramarathon. The organizers required him to pass a qualification first, running 160 kilometers on a track within 24 hours. At that time, David weighed 95 kilograms and had not run long distances in over a year. At the 100-kilometer mark, his body began shutting down. His kidneys stopped filtering toxins. His urine turned deep brown from the massive breakdown of muscle fibers, and all the nails on the toes of his feet shattered. He sat down on a plastic chair, unable to move a finger. His wife begged him to stop, but Goggins forced his mind to step completely past the physical shock. He stood up and conquered the remaining 60 kilometers, finishing with a time of 19 hours and 6 minutes. After successfully completing several of the world's toughest ultramarathons, Goggins decided to challenge the world record for the most pull-ups in 24 hours to raise funds for the families of fallen military personnel. This challenge required not just pure cardiovascular endurance, but a colossal structural strength of the tendons and the skin of the hands. His first attempt was broadcast live on national television. David was moving at a great pace, but after 2,500 repetitions, the skin on his palms tore completely off, exposing raw muscle tissue, and his forearm tendons became so inflamed that he physically could not close his fingers around the bar. He had to stop. 2 months later, he made a second attempt at a suburban sports club. This time, he reached the 3,200 pull-up mark, but due to consuming too many concentrated carbohydrate sports drinks, he suffered a chemical burn to his esophagus and severe dehydration. His organs began to fail, and doctors forcibly removed him from the bar. Most people would have abandoned this idea forever after 2 such brutal failures, but Goggins returned for a third time. He modified the design of the bar, wrapped his hands in specialized protective tape, and developed a completely new strategy for his rest intervals. Despite the old scars on his hands instantly ripping open and blood covering the metal bar, he kept performing set after set for 17 straight hours. He locked in 4,030 clean pull-ups, officially breaking the world record. However, the most shocking fact about Goggins' physiology came to light later during a routine medical examination in a hospital. Cardiologists discovered that he had been living with a congenital atrial septal defect, a large hole in his heart that caused oxygen-rich blood to mix with deoxygenated venous blood. This meant that his muscular system had suffered from acute oxygen deprivation his entire life, and his heart worked with a colossal overload to compensate for the lack of efficiency. The doctors were completely baffled. With such a pathology, people usually experience shortness of breath during casual walking, yet Goggins underwent multiple hell weeks in the Special Forces, ran hundreds of kilometers through deserts, and pulled himself up by the thousands. He underwent emergency open-heart surgery to close the defect with an artificial patch. David proved to the world that the human mind can completely dominate a defective biology.